Hello, today I'm drawing some egg toast. So I'm just keeping things kind of simple and I'm just building up each layer of this toast. So after I sketched out the toast, I threw on some lettuce on top. And here I'm just adding some slight shadows onto it, just so I can get an idea of the shadows and the lights. And then I threw on the ham and cheese on top. And I'm just trying also to make the proportions look like sizable, I guess. Yeah, so here I'm just fixing up the proportions before I add the egg on top. So for the egg, I'm just building up the darker values and then adding back some of the lights and the more highlighted parts. And I also added a brown outline around the egg to give it that kind of burnt and cooked texture. And now that I kind of roughly made the shadows and the lighter areas, I'm just going back and blending out the colors so that it kind of transitions well between the darks and the lights. And then I'm just going back with an even whiter kind of color and adding in some highlights. So for the cheese, it was pretty simple. I'm just adding in some values and some color variation, like using some more red and orange tones. And I'm using more of a paler yellow color for the more highlighted parts, and also just trying to give the cheese some form so that it can look a little bit 3D. Okay, so now I'm going to get started on the lettuce. My process for coloring it is pretty simple. The first thing I do is I'm making an outline with a dark green color of what the leaves of the lettuce is going to look like. Then I'm going back and filling in that outline with the midtones and a shadow color. And I'm also keeping in mind the lighting while I'm coloring it. So as you can see, I'm adding in some of the more lighter values as I go around the lettuce. And so doing this kind of makes it easier for me so that I don't have to make a small, accurate outline of what it's exactly going to look like. But instead I'm drawing what the outline is while I'm coloring. So here I'm just adding in some more highlights onto the lettuce, and then I'm fixing up kind of the shadows on the cheese so that you can make like a distinction between the cheese and the egg. So I just fixed up the egg a little bit more, and then I went onto the bread. So I'm just adding some texture onto the bread, and to do that I'm using a slightly darker color and just brushing it onto the softer part of the bread. And another thing I'm doing is fixing up the crust of the bread and how it just looks overall. So yeah, I'm just fixing up the proportions of each corner of the bread. And I kind of want it to look round yet also kind of pointy, so I'm fixing it up. And then I'm going back to add in some shadows onto the crust of the bread so that it kind of matches up with the lighting. And I'm thinking right now it's kind of getting to being kind of cool. So here I made a little box shapes for the corner of that piece of the bread. And then I went back to add onto the softer part and added some texture there. So I used that same kind of dark midtone, and then I used a slightly darker color to add some more shading all over and off topic, but I'm gonna post some more animatic or music kind of videos because I made one the other day and it was my first time making like a little animation like that, and it was a lot of fun to do. So yeah, I'm gonna make some more because I really liked how it turned out and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoy when you see it on the shorts page. And I'll also probably post it on my Instagram too. So anyways, now I'm coloring the ham. And I didn't do too much to it, it's just some color corrections on it and to make it a little more saturated. And then I also did some color corrections on the other parts of the toast. So the last detail I'm gonna do is add some green garnish onto the top of the egg. And I initially thought I wanted to throw in some detail, so here I'm throwing in some like extra lighting onto each and every one. But after I finished doing that, I was like, this looks too messy. So I just color filled it on another layer to make it darker again. And then it definitely looked a lot better. And I just threw in some lighting on some of the bigger pieces. And, you know, the simplicity of it made it look better than over detailing. So there's that. And then the final thing I did was throw in some texture with the texture brush. 'Cause why not? And that was pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Consider checking out another video. Thanks.